I just watched a beautiful movie called As President's Cake. This was one movie in the beginning of 2026 that just gave me complete chills. I was so moved by the happenings of this movie, the message that it conveys, and the way it communicates the message, that I left the theater a bit guilty as to the life that I live currently and the privilege that I have. The movie is based in Iraq, and it depicts the life of a little girl who finds herself in this situation wherein she is stricken by poverty. She lives in a place that has all of these tensions going on in terms of wars, and a collapsing economy, and them really not being able to afford anything like food or clothing, or just basic things that you and I take for granted. And so the idea here is that the president, which is happens to be Saddam Hussein, who was executed by through US but by their own government for crimes against humanity. And so during his reign, he had prescribed that his birthday be celebrated by everybody, including all the schools. And the way it needs to be celebrated is that students need to bring in or bake cakes and bring them in to the school. And the headmasters and all of these guys taste them and give their reviews of what the food or the cake was like. It seems like there's so much disconnect between them, I mean, the president and all of the bureaucracy and the politicians sitting in their ivory towers prescribing this for their people to do, not realizing how utterly difficult it is for these people to even put a few cents together to come up with the ingredients to make the cake. I mean, they have bigger fish to fry here. Survival is on the line. They're not thinking about a goddamn cake. I mean, how alienated can you be as a politician from your own people or from your own society to not realize that, and to be able to mandate these kind of things. So we have this girl who is so young and is terrified by the fact that if she's not able to bring this cake on the day of the president's birthday, that she might be executed or her parents might be dragged through a whole legal system. She's just absolutely terrified. This little kid doesn't realize what's going on, and she goes to great lengths, stealing, running away from her family, which is just her grandmother, who is also stricken by utter poverty to such an extent that she is willing to give away her granddaughter to another lady for her to use her for domestic help. And so when the little girl hears about it, she runs away, but she's still terrified because she still thinks that she has to provide this cake, otherwise her life would be in danger. And the hoops that this girl goes through, along with another little boy who is again in a similar predicament. They're friends, schoolmates. It's hard to describe, but these little people, these little kids going around a place that is stricken by poverty, war, and socioeconomic issues. You would see that nobody really comes to their rescue, even though they are kids, and everybody is more or less concerned about their own affairs, and rightly so. I mean, they have their affairs to take care of. They probably have a family, so they're just taking care of themselves and making sure that their businesses are going okay and their bellies are filled. And so, yeah, nobody stops to care for this little girl, and she's trying to steal things, and she's trying to get help from different people. Nobody's really helping her. In fact, there are moments in this movie that make you feel so low, that you start questioning everything. There's a moment in the movie wherein she has this pet rooster, right, that she carries everywhere, that gets stolen, and then she goes to a butcher thinking that that butcher might have it, and the butcher says yes, he has it, and the butcher tries to befriend her and try to tell her that he's going to help her to get all of these ingredients for the cake. And then what he really does is he tries to take her to an adult movie where he's obviously going to do really bad things to her. And I just had my heart in my mouth at that time. And I know for a fact that these instances happen to these kids every single day. And again, the blame for all of this has to be taken by society in general, and especially our politicians that allow this to happen at the grassroots level. Yeah, just how difficult is the life of some people in certain parts of the world, and how for granted have we taken ours, and how is it that we're not able to even lend a tiny bit of empathy to these people? How is it that we can't do anything about these kind of situations? And and then we talk about sometimes, oh, look at this America or North America or these other countries, democracy maybe is not the way to go and all of that. But these people really, like, they have no idea what they're talking about. They have no idea what they're talking about, because look at the alternative. The alternative is brutal. Like, we have all of these dictators in the world that are focused on nothing but grabbing absolute power at the expense of everybody else. Lives of just common people are affected in such a massive way. Like, they're already living on the edge, and all these situations do is really just push them off of that edge. And it's just not fair. I don't know what to do about it. It's just depressing. I want to contrast this movie, President's Cake, with another movie that is actually one of my favorite movies, if not my favorite movie of all time, that I watched about 10 years back or so. It was called as Capernaum. It's again based on a child just like this, who is just born into this world in utter dire poverty. His parents have had too many kids and they never took care of him, and he kind of was responsible for taking care of his siblings. And he spends a bunch of time being homeless and begging and being abused, and people taking advantage of him. And ultimately, the story goes that he sues his parents for being born. I won't spoil it for you, but that's the idea. I'm not doing justice by explaining it to you. You really have to feel it. I drew a lot of comparisons between these two movies, but I don't know. I think this one might have overtaken Capernaum. The President's Cake might have taken over Capernaum in my mind as something that really moved me. But both the movies more or less talk about very similar things, very similar themes. Both are based in certain parts of the Arabian world, and both of them based on countries that have been victims of war and dictatorship, and not being able to have a good political system. I hope everybody watches this movie, watch it in the theater, and if you are moved, let's think about one thing, at least one thing that we can do about it. I don't know what it is, but can we start with empathy? Can we start with realizing how great our lives are and how bad it could get and how bad it is for a lot of people out there?